So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the trial paper, the Gauteng by 2015. This is going to be a compilation of all. The entire paper is not going to be broken down into sections like having video 1, video 2, you get me? It's just going to be the whole paper in one video. So it's going to be quite a long video. But let me stop rambling and let me start. So the first question says, solve for x. As you know, they say leave the answers in the simplest third form where necessary. So 1.1. So 1.1 gives you this. What you need to do is, because of we solving for x, they already factorized this, so we need to equate both brackets into 0. So we're gonna have or. So take the 5 to the other side. Divide both sides by 2. So x is going to be equals to -5 divided by 2. Then the side, we're going to take the 2 to the other side. So you're going to have. Then we need to square root both sides so that we can have x alone. So it's going to be square root of x squared is equals to square root of 2. Here's plus or minus. Reason why is because of the exponent here by x is even. So since it's even, it's going to be what? It's going to be plus or minus. So this side is going to be x is equals to plus or minus root 2. And this will be your final answer. Or another way, it could be this one plus this one. You can say x, or x is equals to negative root 2, or x is equals to positive root 2. Then we're done with this question. Then now moving to the second question, which is 1.1.2. It gives you this question, which is x squared minus 4 is greater than and equals to 5. This inequality, so I'm going to take the 5 to the other side. So what do you see? You see the fact that you can add before what you see. What you're going to do, we're going to add the -4 and -5. What do we see? We see that we have a difference of 2 squares. So here I have a video on that. So I'll leave it down in the description, or I'll have an I on top. So when you factorize this, you're going to get what? You're going to get the reason why we factorize is because of we want the critical value. So you're going to say CV, which means critical value, meaning that x is going to be equals to -3, or x is going to be equals to +3. I swap them. The +3 comes here and the -3 comes here, right? Then what you're going to do is you're going to draw a number line. So what you're going to do after drawing a number line, you're going to plot the 2 points. The first one is -3. So it's going to be here. It's a closed circle because of it's what? It's greater than and equals to. And another one is 3, which is going to be here. Right? Then you're going to draw dotted lines going down like this, just to indicate where the critical values are. Then what you're going to do is you're going to pick a number between -infinity and -3. And what I'm going to pick this -4. Then you're going to pick a number between -3 and +3, which is here. I'm going to pick a 0. Then between 3 and +infinity, which is I'm going to pick 4. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take those 3 numbers and substitute it here in the equation. So after substituting in the one that I put in the red square, you're going to get, for the first one, you're going to get a +7. The second one, you're going to get a -9. And the last one, you're going to get a +7. What is important here is only the sign. So this one is positive, this one is negative, and the last one is positive, right? So here, you know the fact that -4 is between -infinity and -3. So here you're going to put what? You're going to put your positive signs. Then between -3 and +3, it was negative because of the -9. And between +3 and +infinity, it was what? It was positives because of the +7. Then when something is greater than, greater than the equation, meaning it's like this, meaning the equation is this side and it's greater than and equals to. This means the fact that your inequality is positive. So on the number line, we're going to look for positives. So the positives, we see the fact that they're here and they also here. All right. So the reason why you need to write the negative infinity and positive infinity is because of these reasons. You see the fact that your inequality goes from positive between negative infinity. So you're going to have a curved bracket. You're going to say negative infinity till where? Till 3. So you're going to have 3. Since here, when we go up, our equation, right, was greater than and equals to, you need to put a square bracket. So let's do that. So it's going to be a square bracket here, right? It's going to be a square bracket. Or then another positives are where is between 3 and positive infinity. So you're going to have a square bracket by 3. Then the positive infinity is just going to be a curly bracket. Then this will be your final answer. So now let's go to question 1.1.3, which is going to be exponents. So the first thing when we have a question like this, we need to change all this into being common bases so we can use the laws of exponents. So let's do that. So the 12, if you change it to your factors, you're going to get what? You're going to get 2 to the power 2, right? Multiplied by 3 to the power 1. Then this whole thing inside, because we changed 12 into being this, is going to be what? To the power 2x, right? And the 8 is going to change into be what? Into being 2 to the power 3 multiplied by this one inside a bracket, the 36, which is the same as 2 to the power 2 multiplied by 3 to the power 2, right? And this is going to be to the power x, because this 2 to the power 2 multiplied by 3 to the power 2 is what? Is 36, right? So here we're going to distribute the exponents, and for the first one we're going to say 2 multiplied by 2x, so you're going to get 2 to the power 4x. And the second one, which is I'm going to just put a dot here, is going to be 3 to the power 2x is going to be equals to what? This side, the 2 to the power 3 is going to remain. Then we're going to distribute the what? We're going to distribute the x, so it's going to be 2 to the power 2x multiplied by 3 to the power 2x, right? So after having that, what you're going to do is you're going to divide both sides by this side. So let's do that. So I'm going to divide by 2 to the power 4x, right? Multiplied by 3 to the power 2x is equals to dividing. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. So I'm going to divide by both sides. So I can make this side a what? A 1. So let me cancel this so it doesn't confuse anyone. So it's going to be 2 to the power 4x multiplied by 3 to the power 2x. Right? So this side is going to become 1 and this side is going to become the way it is. What do we see? We have 2 here, we have 2 here. So let me group the numerator first. So it's going to be 2 to the power 3 plus 2x, which is this, the addition rule, the multiplication rule in exponents, multiplied by 3 multiplied by 3 to the power 2x, right? And this whole thing is going to be divided by 2 to the power 4x multiplied by 3 to the power 2x, right? So 1 this side, then we're going to just use the division rule. So it's going to be 2 to the power 3 plus 2x. Then we're going to take the 4 to the other side. So it's going to be minus 4. So I took it on top. Then here it's going to be 3 to the power 2x. Then it's going to be minus 2x from here in the denominator. Group everything here. So it's going to be 2 to the power what? To the power 3 minus 2x. And here's the same as being 3 to the power 0. So I'm going to have 1 is equals to 2 to the power 3 minus 2x. And this is the same as being multiplied by 1. So now I can change this one, right? This one is the same as saying 2, because I want the same base. I'm going to say 2 to the power 0, which is 2 to the power 0 is 1, is equals to what? Is equals to 3 minus 2 x. We're going to drop the bases, so you're going to have 0 is equals to 3 minus 2x. Take the 2 to the other side, so you're going to have 2x is equals to 3. Divide both sides by 2, is going to be x is equals to 3 over 2. And you're done with this question. So now moving to 1.2. It says solve for x correct to 2 decimal places. The minute you see 2 decimal places, your head needs to go to using the quadratic formula. So now let's expand x plus 1 here. So it's going to be 2. When we expand it, it's going to be x squared plus 2x plus 1 is equals to 9, right? Distribute the 2, so it's going to be 2x squared plus 4x plus 2 is equals to 9. Take the 9 to the other side, so it's going to be 2x squared plus 4x plus 2 minus 9 is equals to 0. So we're going to simplify this, so it's going to be 2x squared plus 4x, right? So then this is going to be minus 7 is equal. Then what we need to find our a, b, and c, because you're using the quadratic formula. So a is equals to what? Is equals to 2. B is equals to positive 4, and C is equals to negative 7. Write the quadratic formula, so it's going to be x is equals to right. Then we're going to substitute our a, b, and c, so let's do that. This is plus or minus. I forgot the plus or minus. So when we punch this into the calculator, you're going to start with the negative 1. So when you start with the negative 1, x is going to be equals to negative 3, 1, 2. Or when you punch the positive 1, it's going to be x is equals to 1, 1, 2. So now we're going to 1.3, which is we need to solve for x and y simultaneously. So the first equation is y is equals to negative 2x plus 7, and thus we're going to make it as being equation 1. Then the second one, which is going to be y plus 5 divided by x minus 1 is equals to a half, right? And thus we're going to make it equation 2. So what I'm going to do is, already the first one is in terms of y. I'm going to substitute equation 1 into equation 2. So wherever I see y, I'm going to substitute it by this. So let's do that. So subs 1 into 2, right? So I'm going to say open bracket negative, right, plus 5 divided by x minus 1 is equals to 1 over 2. To see the fact that you're actually moving into the right direction, everything after substituting needs to be in terms of one variable. In our case, it's in terms of just only x, right? So here we're going to simplify the numerator. So it's going to be what? It's going to be negative 2x. Then 7 plus 5 is going to give you, 12. So it's going to be plus 12. Then this is going to be divided by x minus 1 is equals to 1 over 2. Then we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to cross multiply like this. So this side is going to be 2, open bracket, 2x plus 12 is equals to, then this one is going to be multiplied by 1. So it's going to be the same as x minus 1. Distribute the 2. So it's going to be negative 4x. Then it's going to be plus 24 is equals to x minus 1. Then I'm going to take the x's this side, right? And I'm going to take the 24, the numbers this side. So you're going to have negative 4x minus x is equals to negative 1. Then it's going to be negative 24. Then this is the same as negative 5x. And this side is the negative 25. Since they both negatives, we're going to drop the negative. So we're going to divide. So it's going to be negative 5, positive 5, sorry, is equals to 25. Divide both sides by 5, so it's going to be x is equals to what? It's going to be equals to 5. But we're done because we need to solve for x and y. So to solve for y, I'm going to take the equation that they gave us, which is y. Then wherever I see x here, I'm going to substitute by 5. So it's going to be negative 2 open bracket 5 plus 7. Therefore, making y equals to negative 3. And we're done with simultaneous. So now moving to 1.4. As we see, I've sketched the exponential graph, which is that is y is equals to 3 to the power x, right? So the reason why I've sketched it down, they say determine the value of p, for which the equation, then they give us that 3 to the power x is equals to 1 over p, 1 minus p, will have real solution. What does it mean, real solution? Meaning the graph needs to exist, meaning like where the graph exists. Simple terms, where the graph exists. So from our knowledge, what do we see? The only time this graph, this part, right, this portion that I've sketched exists is when what? When y is positive. So this side is positive, which is the y-axis, when they're positive. Because we see here by the negative y-axis, there isn't any graph. So we know the fact that 3 to the power x needs to exist when what? This is greater than what? Greater than 0, right? And it's greater than not equals to because of what? 0 is the asymptote, right? So that is why it's just greater than 0. Then from that point, right, we see the fact that the graph actually exists. So we know the fact that 3 to the power x is equals to 1 minus p. So I can replace by this 3 to the power x by 1 minus p is greater than 0. Then we're going to solve for p. So I'm going to take the p to the other side. So it's going to be 1 is greater than p. I'm just going to rearrange it, which is the same as p is less than 1. Right? So this will be your final answer. Now moving to the second question, it says the first two terms of an arithmetic sequence A, right? So this we know the fact that it's going to be an arithmetic sequence, so I'm going to call it AS, right? Then an infinite geometric sequence, which is B, are the same, which is this is going to be GS, right? And the first question, which is 2.1.1, says write down in terms of x. So our answers here needs to be in terms of x. Then they say the third term of a geometric. So we know the fact that the geometric series they gave us is being this. Right? So what do we know? To find the next term, we need to first find r. So r is the same as what? T2 divided by T1. This is T1 and this is T2. So it's going to be what? X, right? Divided by what? Divided by -2. So this is going to be your r. So to find the next term, it's going to be what? To find T3, it's going to be what? It's going to be T2 multiplied by r, right? So which is the same as what was T2, which is going to be x multiplied by r, which is going to be x divided by -2, which is the same as -x squared divided by 2. So this is the first answer. Then 2.1.2, it says find the third term for the arithmetic. We know it's the same thing, so it's -2 plus x, right, plus ... So to find the difference here, to find the third term, we need to find the difference. So d is equals to T2 minus T1. So this is T2 and this is T1. So this is the same as what? Is x minus 2, which is the same as saying x plus 2, right? So now to find T3, it's going to be what? It's going to be your second term, right? Plus what? Plus your difference. So it's going to give us x plus what? Plus x plus 2, which is our difference. So our answer here is going to be 2x plus 2. So we're done with the first two terms. Then question 2.2 says if the sum of the first three terms, right, of an arithmetic. So we know the fact that the sum of the first three terms of an arithmetic, so 2.2, so it's going to be what? It's going to be -2 plus what? Plus x plus the one that you just found, which is 2x plus 2. So the first three terms of our matrix sequence, right? A is equals to the third term of the geometric. So this whole thing is equals to the third term of a geometric, which is negative x squared divided by 2, right? Then they say we need to calculate for x. So here let's group like terms. It's going to be what? Negative 2 and positive 2 are going to cancel each other. So we're going to be left with what? 3x is equals to negative x squared divided by 2. Cross multiply. So this is the same as divided by 1. So when we cross multiply, we're going to have 2 open bracket 3x is equals to what? 2 negative x squared multiplied by 1. So it's negative x squared, right? So this is going to be the same. Then here we have 6x is equals to what? It's equals to negative x squared. Take the negative x squared to the other side. So it's going to be negative it's going to be 6x minus plus x squared is equals to 0. Take x as a common factor. So you're going to have 6, right? And here you're going to have plus what? Plus x and is equals to 0. So this is going to be x is being equals to 0, or x is going to be equals to negative 6, right? So therefore our answer is going to be what? X is equals to negative 6. So this will be your final answer. Then 2.3 says if x is equals to negative 6, does the geometric series B converge? Something to converge, R needs to be between what? It needs to be between negative 1 or 1. That's when it can converge. So we need to calculate R. If it's between these two values, then it converge. If it's not, then what happens is the series does not converge. So we know that R is equals to what? Is equals to x minus x, right? Divided by what? Divided by 2. We know the fact that x is negative 6. So this is the same as negative, open bracket, negative 6 divided by what? Divided by 2, which is going to give me R as being positive 3. Is positive 3 between negative 1 and positive 1? No. So therefore, right, the geometric series does not converge. Then we're done with question 2. So now let's do question 3. It says given, then they give us sigma. Sigma is the same as Sn. The symbol is the same as saying Sn, right? Is equals to, they say k, t to the 2t, then underscore k is equals to n squared plus 4, n where tk is the general term of the sequence. So they told us what this one is, right? It's the general form. So it's the same as being what? Tn, but they say just tk, right? So the first one, they say you need to calculate what? The sigma when n, really important here, n is what? N is equals to 250, right? So we need to calculate when n is equals to 250. Since this equation is given as n, so we can substitute this 250 here. So for 3.1, what we're going to do is we're going to say all squared, right? Because this is given an n and they already gave us our n. Then you're going to say plus 4, 250 inside, and this is going to give you 63,500. And you're done with the first part. Then 3.2, they gave us the Tn, so they gave us T100. They wanted to calculate, right? So T100 is the same as what? We need everything in terms of S as the sigma, because of that's what we given here is the sigma. So it's the same as saying S100, right, minus S99. Right, so it's the number that they give you, Tn first, then subtract by the number before it, right? So S100 is the same as what? From here, from the equation, you substitute by 100, so it's going to be 100 squared plus 4, right? 100. Then you're going to say minus, so I'm going to do a square bracket for the 99. So it's the same as saying 99 squared plus 4, right? 99. Then when you punch this whole thing into the calculator, what you're going to get your answers being 203. and you're done with the second question. Then 3.3, right, says how many terms of the sequence must be equals to the sum of 144. Very important, the sum of 144. Remember, as I said, the fact that since this one has an n, our sigma is given in terms of sum, right? So we know the fact that we're going to equate. So this is the same as finding is n is equals to, we know the fact that's going to be n squared plus 4n. They gave us that our sum is what? 144. So it's going to be 1440 is equals to n squared plus 4n. Take the 144 to the other side. It's going to be 0 is equals to n squared plus 4n minus 144, right? Do use quadratic. When you factorize this, what you're going to get it as being n plus 40 and n minus 36, right? Equate both brackets by 0, so it's going to be n plus 40 is equals to 0, or n minus 36 is equals to 0. Solve it, so it's going to be n is equals to negative 40, or n is equals to 36. We pick n is always positive, so we're going to pick the negative one. So therefore n is equals to 36, and this will be your final answer. So now let's do question 4. It says a pattern of triangle is formed by increasing the base by 2 centimeters. So we know the fact that the difference of the base, because it keeps on increasing by 2 centimeters. So D for the base, so base, right? The difference is going to be what? The difference is equals to 2, because it increases by 2. And the perpendicular height by 1. So we know the fact that the height, right, is increased by what? It's increased by 1. So D there. So the difference here is going to be 1. So this is going to be 1. So the difference is going to be 1. In a successive triangle, right? Then they say the first triangle has a base of 2 and a height of 2, and the pattern continues in this matter. As you see, the fact that we have the first triangle, second triangle, and the third triangle. So the first question, 4.1. It says calculate the area of the first 4 triangles. We have the first what? We have the first 3. So let me create the 4th triangle, right? So we know the fact that we increase the base by what? We increase the base by 2. So since we have a base of 6 here, this is going to be 8 centimeter, and we increase the height by what? By 1. So we here, since it's 5, is going to be 5 centimeter. Right? And this is going to be triangle 4, right? So you need to find the area of all 4 triangles. So for triangle 1, this is going to be the area, which is half area is equals to half base, right, times half base times height. Right? So we know the fact that our base is what? So it's going to be 1 over 2. Our base is 2 here, multiplied by height of 2. So therefore your answer here is going to be what? It's going to be 2. So for the second triangle, it's going to be what? Area is equals to the same thing. So this is going to be a half of what? Base of 4, but a height of 3. And there you're going to get 6. Then for triangle 3, I'm just going to substitute. Area is going to be equals to what? It's going to be half base of 6, then a height of 4, which is you're going to get as being 12. And the last triangle, which is this one, triangle 4. These lines are triangles, right? So triangle 4 is going to be area is equals to a half, a base of 8, and a height of what? A height of 5. Therefore your area is going to be what? It's going to be 20. Then now we're going to move to 4.2. Change this into 2. It says calculate the area of the 100th triangle, right? So what do we see? We see the fact that we have a general we can create a general term for the height and the base. So let me start with the base, creating the general equation, right? So we know the fact that T n is equals to A plus n minus 1 d, right? Actually, we don't need to create the general. We can basically calculate what's the 10th height, the 10th base for this one, right? So we're going to substitute 100 here, right? Then A, what do we know? We know that A is the first base, which is going to be 2 plus 100 here minus 1. Then the difference there is 2, right? So the difference is going to be 2. When you substitute this into the calculator, you're going to find that T100 for base is equals to, it's going to be equals to 200. All right. Then for height now, we're going to find T n now for the 100th height, right? So it's going to be A plus n minus 1, then d. D here is going to be 1 because height, the difference is 1. So you're going to say T100, right, is equals to what? To A, which is A. Our A here is 2 because it's the first from the first triangle, plus, then this is going to be 100 minus 1. Then our D here is 1, which is going to make it what? 101. So this is going to be what? This is B and this is H. So we're going to find the area of the 101. So it's going to be area is equals to half base times height. Substitute base and height. So it's going to be a half. Our base is 200. Our height is 101. Punch that into the calculator. You're going to find it as being 10,100. That's the area of the 10th, 100, not 10th, the 100th triangle. So now moving to question 5, it says Dumisani estimates a tracking company, right? Establish, not estimate. Dumisani established a tracking company. The first track he buys cost 650,000 and it depreciates at 30% per annum on the reducing balance. So we need to, they say there, then the first question says calculate the depreciation value of the track. So we know the fact that depreciation, so 5.1.1, this is depreciation, right? And it's what? It's sinking. It's reducing balance, not sinking. It's reducing balance. So for this, what we need to use this equation. So it's going to be A is equals to P, right? 1 minus I to the power N, right? So this is the formula that we're going to use. What's our P? Our P is this. Then our I is what? They told us the fact that it's 30%. So it's going to be 0.3. Then N is going to be equals to what? 2 after 4 years. So it's going to be 4. Substitute everything. So A is going to be equals to this. That's going to be 1 minus 0.3 to the power 4. Punch that into the calculator and this is what you're going to get. So this is the first answer. So 5.1.2, they say the price of the new truck appreciates as a result of inflation at a rate of 15% per annum. Then they say calculate the value of the car after 4 years. So because of its appreciation, what we need to use this formula. Same formula, but instead of negative, we add a plus. So it's going to be 1 plus N. So in our case, our P is going to be the same, right, as the one from the first question, and our I is going to change because it's 15%. It's going to be 0.15. Then N is going to be the same because they said after 4 years, right? So we're going to substitute that into the formula. When you punch this into the calculator, you're going to get this amount. then you're done with the second question. Then 5.1.3 says Dumisani plans to replace the original truck in 4 years. He plans to use the current truck as a trade-in and pay the remaining amount of cash. To save up for the required cash amount, he set up a sinking fund, making equal monthly installment into the fund and earning a 9.5% per annum, right? Compounded monthly. They say the first installment for the sinking fund is paid at the end of the first month of the 4 years period, and the last installment is paid at the end of the 4 years. They say calculate the monthly installment Dumisani needs to pay in the sinking fund. So what do we need to know? We need to know what is the value, what's going to be the amount of the sinking fund. Basically, he needs to calculate what is the cost of the new truck and after 4 years, right? So that's what we need to do. What do we know? We know the fact that due to depreciation, the truck basically depreciated by what? Depreciated by 1,000 by this amount. So this was the depreciation amount. Was this amount? So from our previous calculation, we see the fact that it's depreciated by this amount and appreciated by this amount, right? To find how much he needs to save up and know how much monthly installment through the sinking fund, we need to take those two, the difference of two square, the difference of this two. So you're going to say the appreciation minus the depreciation, right? And what you're going to get? You're going to get this amount. So this is the amount of money that he needs to save up, right? But he's going to use a sinking fund. So to find the sinking fund, we use this formula. We use the future value. So it's F is equals to X, right? Then you're going to say 1 plus I to the power N minus 1. Then this whole thing is divided by I, right? But what's our I? In the question, our I is 9.5, right? And N is 4. But it's going to be 4 multiplied by 12 because it's compounded monthly. And our I is going to be divided by 12. So let's substitute. For F here, we're going to substitute by this amount because we need the monthly installment. So let's do that. Then we're going to take this one here, multiplies to get rid of the denominator on the other side. So you're going to say then you do not simplify it, you don't use the calculator. We're going to divide both sides by this side. So you're going to say, so we're making X the subject of the formula here. Not a pretty line, yeah. So we go up. So this is the same as saying 1 plus to the power of 4 multiplied by 12 minus 1 is equals to X. Then therefore our X is going to be, let me write it a little bit down. our x is going to be equals to what? It's going to be equals to this amount. So this will be the monthly installment. This will be the monthly installment. So 5.2, which is now we're going to do 5.2.1. It says Harry buys a property for 1,500 million. After paying a deposit, he takes a loan for the remaining amount, which is, this is the remaining amount. I'm going to highlight it, right? At an interest of 9.2% per annum, compounded what? Monthly, over a period of what? Of 20 years. They say the monthly installments on the loan was this, so they gave us the monthly installments. Now they say calculate the outstanding balance after 7 years. What is outstanding balance? It's first is how much the money grew from the time, like the actual money, this one, and how much it grew for 7 years minus the monthly installment. So this will be the formula. So outstanding balance, which is, I'm going to call it OB. So 5.2.1 OB is going to be, this formula is going to be P open bracket 1 plus I, right? How much the money appreciated minus the monthly installment, the money that you actually paid. That's why we subtracted. So it's going to be X, and it's going to be open bracket 1 plus I, using the future value, this formula, right? Using F from the formula sheet. So it's going to be minus 1, and this whole thing is going to be divided by I. So what is P? P is the remaining amount, which is this one that I want to highlight. So it's going to be then 1 plus, what's our I? They tell us it's 9.2, so it's going to be 0.092 divided by 12, because it's compounded monthly, to the power what? 7 years, multiplied by what? Multiplied by 12. Right, let me move the screen here like this so that you can see it. Then this is going to be minus our monthly installment. They told us the fact that's going to be 11,636. So we're going to say 11,636,02 open bracket. This is going to be 1 plus the same interest rate to the power 7 multiplied by 12, same years, but minus 1. Then this whole thing is going to be divided by what? Divided by 0.092 divided by 12. Punch this into the calculator and your answer is going to be what? Is going to be this amount. This is going to be the outstanding balance. So this will be the outstanding balance. So 5.2.2 says after 7 years, due to financial difficulty, he misses 5 consecutive payments, right? Thereafter, he continues making the monthly installment into the loan until the end of 20 years. Then they say calculate the new monthly installment, because if he has missed 5 months, the monthly installment, and like the new monthly installments, needs to account for the missing months on. So that's why we need to calculate the new monthly installment. So first thing that we need to establish is how much the money grew from the time that he lived, which is after 7 years, then the remaining, how much the money grew for that period that he did not pay. So 5.2 basically calculate the new monthly installment. So because if it was after 7 years, it was after the outstanding balance. So the outstanding balance, right? So you're gonna say, we're gonna use the outstanding balance. So you're gonna say A is equals to, we're gonna appreciate the amount, right? So it's gonna be P. So we're gonna appreciate the outstanding, which we had as being what? As being this value, not comma. Then what do we know? We know the fact that our I is going to be what? Our I is going to be 1 plus our I is going to be the same interest rate from the previous, because of the it doesn't change when you purchase a property. So it's going to be 0.092 divided by what? Divided by 12. But here it's going to be what? It's not going to be and multiplied by something. It's just going to be 5 months, because he missed 5 consecutive payments, meaning it's 5 months, right? Then you're going to get your new outstanding balance to being this value. Right, so now we need to take this one and calculate the new monthly installments. So you're going to say P, you're going to use the present value because this is a loan. So you're going to say X, open bracket, it's going to be what? It's going to be 1 minus now what we need to establish here, everything is fine. I is still the same thing here, but N is going to be the one that's going to be tricky. What do we know? We know the fact that the payment of the loan takes 20 years. So we're going to say 20 minus 7. What we're going to get? We're going to get this amount. We're going to get 13, right? We're going to get 13 years remaining, right? But what do we know? We know the fact that he pays monthly. So we need to take the 13 years multiplied by 12 to get the monthly installment. So this is going to be the same as what? As 13 multiplied by 12, which is going to give me what? Which is going to give me 156. This is how many payments he needs to make. But remember, he missed how many? He missed 5. So we're going to take that 156 and subtract it by 5, which is going to give you what? 151. So our N here is 151. I hope that made sense. So substitute everything. So here we need X. So the side is going to be your new outstanding balance. So it's going to be this amount. Then X here, because that's the one that we're looking for. Negative 151. Then you're gonna take this one divided by 12. Don't forget the 12. Cross multiply it. So it's gonna be like this. Five multiplied by. Remember that we're making X subject of the formula. Divide both sides by this part. So this one can cancel. So it's going to be the same as saying this. Punch this into the calculator. So your new installments are going to be what? Are going to be this, which is 12,297.81. So that's going to be your new monthly installments. So now doing question number 6, it says in the answer book, draw a clear sketch graph of h of x and of h defined by the equation. Then they give you h of x. What do we see? We see the fact that h of x is a what? It's an exponent's graph because it has b to the power x. Then they tell you the fact that where a needs to be less than 0. What does it mean when a is less than 0? It means the fact that a, right, is where it's going to be reflected down like this. But you know the fact that the reflection like this is that we need the b. When they tell us that b needs to be what? Needs to be greater than 1, meaning it can be 2, 3, and 4. So what does it mean? It means the fact that the graph is an it's an increasing function like this. So if it's an increasing function, what's going to happen when a is less than 0, therefore I'm going to do it in red, the a less than 0 meaning the graph is going to go down. Then they give us more information, the fact that q, and what's q? Q is the y-intercept, right? Here, q is the y-intercept. They tell us the fact that it needs to be less than 0. Less than means negative and greater than means positive. Less than means the fact that the y-intercept needs to be in where? In the y-axis, which is that. So let me draw the sketch properly. So this is how the sketch is going to be. It's basically the red one. It's the fact that 1b is greater than 1, but also that a is less than 0, meaning it's going to be what? It's going to reflect upon the y-axis on the negative y-axis, right? Upon the x-axis, but it's going to reflect on the negative y-axis, and that the y-coordinate is also negative. Before I move on to question number 7, I want to make a small remark about question number 6. In order to answer those type of questions, you need to understand the behavior of A, B, and Q, which is I'm going to do a whole deep dive about functions and explaining the properties of the following things that we just talked about, which is A, B, and Q for exponents, but for quadratic and straight line and the other ones is going to have their own respective behavior, right? So look out for that. So I would suggest the fact that you actually subscribe so that when I release that video, which is going to be long, and I'm going to make sure the fact that I release it before you guys write your finals so that you can ace good marks in your functions, because I think you have seen the fact that throughout this whole me doing past papers that actually functions contain a lot of marks. It's a do or die for you getting a distinction or not. So let's move on now. So let's do question number 7. It says the figure below represents a sketch graph f of x and g of x defined as f of x. They give you, what do we see? Since f of x is x to the power 2, it's a quadratic, right, which is a parabola, which as you can see on the diagram. And g of x, since it has x to the power 1, it's a what? It's a straight line, as you can see is drawn below. Then they tell you that a and b are the x-intercept, which is a and b here are the x-intercept of f. Then they say the graph of g passes through a, so meaning a is also the x-intercept for what? For g, right? Then they tell you the fact that c is a point in the intersection. So they tell you the fact that when f of x is equals to g of x, you're going to get two intersection, which is a and b, a and c, which is that 2. Then they say the graph g intersects at the y-axis at D. So they gave us every information. The first question says, referring to the sketch below, determine the coordinate of A and B. So what do we know A and B to be? It's to be the x-intercept of f of x. So we're going to say 7.1 x-intercept. When you want your x-intercept, you need to let y equals to what? To 0. So wherever I see f of x here, right, I'm going to substitute by 0. So let's do that. So it's going to be 0 is equals to negative 2x minus 4 plus 30, right? Then you're gonna factorize this. You can use the quadratic formula, the method that I use, or you can just use factorizing. I also have a video about mastering factorization or mastering solving for x. So it's going to be, when you factorize it, you're going to get 0. It's going to be x plus 5 and x minus 3. Then you're going to equate both bracket by 0. So it's going to be x plus 5 is equals to 0, or x minus 3 is equals to 0. Take the 5 to the other side, you're going to have x is equals to negative 5, or x is equals to positive 3, right? So write this in coordinate form. You're going to have negative 5 and 0. And here you're going to have what? You're going to have 3 and 0. What do we know? We need to appoint which one is A and which one is B. We see the fact that A is on the negative side, so this one, the one with negative 5, is going to be A, and B is on the positive side, so the one with positive x-axis is going to be B. So then you're done with 7.1. 7.2 says, write down the function f in a form of f of x is equals to a, then as x plus p squared plus q. To write this, p and q, meaning we're writing the thing in turning point, as they said. So we need to find the coordinate of p and the coordinate of p and the coordinate of q. This is the turning point, which is the turning point is made out of what? Of p and q, right? It's minus p and q. So what are we going to do is we're going to basically find p and q. I'm going to use the one with the formula of x, right? So I'm going to use this one because of my function f of x is in this form, right? It's in this form. I'm going to use this formula, which is x is equals to negative b divided by 2a. I'm going to use this one. I need to find what's b and what's a. This one is going to be what? This is a, this is b, and this is c. So substitute b and a. So it's going to be equals to negative 4 divided by 2, positive 2, which is going to give me negative 1. This negative 1 is going to represent what? It's going to represent my p, right? Then since p is what I said is negative p, right? So therefore, if I simplify it, p, the one that's going to go here is positive. So it's going to be p is equals to 1. I hope that's making sense, because here I said it's negative p and q. So when I say this one, it represents the negative one is going to represent negative p. So we drop both sides. The negative is going to be p is equals to 1, which is going to go here in the bracket. Take that. Now we are taking this one, right? We are going to take this one into the function, the one with the negative p. So we're going to substitute f of negative p, not positive p, right? Which is, it's going to be what? It's going to be the same as my function, which is going to be negative p squared minus 4, right? This is for demonstration purposes. But we know that negative p is what? Is negative 1. So it's going to be negative 1 is equals to what? To 2. Negative 1 squared minus 4. Negative 1 plus 30. Punch this into the calculator. You're going to get your q into being what? Into being 32. So it's going to be 32. So this one is your what? This one is your q, right? It's your q. So it's this q. So we need to find a. A is what? You see the fact that I wrote it down. A is negative 2. So we know the fact that a is equals to negative 2. Substitute everything that you have now. So it's going to be f of x, right, is equals to negative 2 in the space of a, open bracket, x, this p, plus 1, right, squared. Then you're going to say plus this 32, which is q. So now 7.3 says determine whether 1 is to 12 are coordinate of c. Show all calculations. So what's c? C is an intersection between f of x and g of x, right? To check whether the coordinate 1 is to 12 is actually a point of c, we need to find the x-intercept. If we can prove that one of the x-intercept that we find here is equals to 1, then therefore it is a coordinate, then c is the coordinate, right? So let's do that. So you're going to say f of x is equals to g of x because of that's an intersection, right? Then we're going to substitute f of x, which is negative 2x squared minus 4x plus 30 is equals to 2x plus 10, right? Then take everything to one side. So when you do that, you're going to get this. Is equals to 0. Group like terms. So when you group like terms, you're going to get factorize this. Gonna get x is equal x minus 2 and x plus 5 is equals to 0. Equate the bracket by 0, so it's going to be x minus 2 is equals to 0, or it's going to be x plus 5 is equals to 0. Take the 2 to the other side, it's going to be x is equals to positive 2, or x is equals to -5. What do we see? We see the fact that we get x is +2 and x is -5, which is here it's 1. So therefore, what? Therefore, coordinate C is not a point. 1 is to 12. We did not get 1 here. We got what? We got +2 and -5. Then 7.4 says a straight line with equation y is equals to mx plus 32 is a tangent to the graph of f. Calculate the possible m value, m which is being gradient here. What does it mean to be a tangent? It means the fact that it touches the graph. A line touches a graph at one point. So we can equate this function that they gave us to f of x to find that one point, right? That's what we're doing. And by doing that, we're going to be able to what? Calculate m, right? So let me equate the two. It's going to be, that's f of x that I'm writing right now. It's equals to mx plus c, because it intersects at one point, right? 32, yes. Then take everything to one side. Which is going to be minus mx minus 32 is equals to 0. Group like terms. So when I group like terms, I'm going to take this 2x squared, then -4x, then with this minus mx. Then 30 and 32 is going to give me what? -2 is equals to 0. Here I'll take out x as a common factor. So I'm going to say like this, minus plus, sorry, x, then open bracket is going to be -4 minus what? Minus m minus 2 is equals to 0, right? Then we're going to use what? Nature of roots, but we're going to use the fact that the nature of roots exists, which is the nature. We're going to use the fact that nature of roots are equal. To say nature of roots are equal, that means the fact that delta is equals to 0, right? Meaning there is only one nature of roots as all the nature of roots exist. So that's what I'm going to use. But we know the fact that delta is going to be equals to what? To negative b. Not negative b, it's going to be bx, it's going to be b squared minus 4ac, right? So we need a, b, and c. From this part, we need to find a, b, and c. So this one is going to be the -2, is going to be a. This whole thing is going to be my b, and this one is going to be my c. So substitute that. So you're going to get this, open bracket, -4 minus m, right, squared minus 4a and c. Simplify everything and expand this one. So you're going to get this. Then this one you're going to get -16. The positive 16 and the negative are going to cancel out. So delta is going to be equals to 8m plus m squared. Take out m as a common factor. You're going to get m as being what? As being 8, right? Inside the bracket is going to be 8 plus m. Equate both the bracket and the m by 0, which is you're going to get. Remember the fact that before we equate, remember the fact that we said delta is equals to 0. Substitute that before we equate, right? Because of this and delta are 0. Then equate the m and the bracket by 0. So m is going to be equals to 0, or what? 8 plus m is going to be equals to what? To 0. Take the 8 to the other side. M is going to be equals to -8. And that's your two possible m's. So now moving to 7.5, it says determine the value of x, and which f of x multiplied by g of x is greater than 0. What does it mean to be greater than 0? It means the fact that both graphs, when they multiply each other, you need to get a positive. To get that, if you have f of x here, right, multiplied by g of x, and it needs to be what? It needs to be greater than 0. It means the fact that it's either the y-axis for f of x is negative, and also the y-axis of g of x is negative, because of a negative multiplied by a negative is going to give you what? A positive. So this is going to be satisfied. Or it can be what? It can be the fact that f of x is positive, the y-axis multiplied by g of x is also positive. So a positive multiplied by positive is going to give me what? A positive. So we need to find where it's either they both negative on the negative side or it's either on the positive side. So let's go. Right, but before we do that, we need to find their intersects. We have two intersects. We have a, which is we found as -5 and what? And 0, and here we found it as 3, if I'm not mistaken. 3 and 0. Let me check. Yes, it's positive 3 and 0. Right, so now I'm gonna draw a dotted line like this, because the intercept is going to be where your boundary, where it changes from being negative or positive and all that. So we're going to start here. This is the same as negative infinity and this is positive infinity, right? From negative infinity till 3, we see the fact that both graphs are on the negative side, are on the negative y-axis. So it satisfies this condition. So that applies. But at 5 is where there's an intercept. So there isn't any negative or thing. It's where they all exist. That's where they both intersect. That's what I meant. But what do we see? We see from where? From -5 till 3, right? They are what? They are all on the positive side. Do you see that? They're all on the positive side. So it satisfies the second one, right? So your answer is going to be for 7.5, your answer is going to be what? Is that from negative infinity till 3, right? Till 3, but making sure the fact that x is not equals to -5. Reason is at -5 there isn't any, they're not multiplying, but both graphs are equal to each other. So this is how your answer will be, is from here to here where the condition is satisfied. But at -5 is what? Is that there is an intersection. So now moving to question 8, it says, given that f of x, then they give you f of x. What do you see from that is that f of x is a hyperbola, right? So you know the fact that it's a hyperbola. Then the first question, which is 8.1, it says write down the equation of the horizontal and vertical asymptote. So what is going to be the horizontal asymptote? The horizontal asymptote is going to be the what? The one with y, right? So y is going to be equals to what? To this part, which is -1. So y is equals to -1, right? That's the horizontal. And the vertical asymptote is the one with x, which is going to be this one. You're going to equate this one by 0. So for the vertical, it's going to be x minus 2 is equals to 0. Take the 2 to the other side. Therefore, x is going to be equals to what? To +2. So this is your horizontal and this is your vertical asymptote. Now moving to 8.2, it says determine the x and y intercept. So you know the fact that what? The x intercept, we're going to let y equals to 0. So let's do that. So x intercept, right, let y equals to 0. So wherever we see y, we're going to substitute by 0, but our y in this case is f of x, so it's going to be 0 is equals to 1 divided by x minus 2 minus 1. Take the 1 to the other side. We're trying to make x subject of the formula, so it's going to be 1 is equals to 1 divided by x minus 2. This is the same as divided by 1, so we can cross multiply. So 1 multiplied by x minus 2 is going to be x minus 2 is equals to 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Take the -2 to the other side, so it's going to be x is equals to what? To 3. So our coordinate for the x-intercept is going to be what? It's going to be 3 and 0, right? So now moving on to what? To finding the y-intercept. So moving on to finding the y-intercept, you're going to say y-intercept, then you're going to say let x equals to 0. So in our function here, wherever we see x, we're going to substitute by 0. So it's going to be y is equals to what? Is equals to 1 divided by 0 minus 2 minus 1. I changed the f of x into y. Then when I do that, when you punch this into the calculator, you're going to get y as being equals to what? To negative 3 over 2. So your coordinate here is going to be 0 and negative 3 over 2. If you were wondering where I got the 0 here, is because of I made y equals to 0, and why I got 0 here is because of I made x equals to 0. So that's the second question. So I'm just going to write everything that you wrote here so that I can erase everything. So here x is equals to 2 and y is equals to negative 1. So here our intercept is going to be 3 and 0, and what is going to be 0 and negative 3 over 2. So now 8.3 says draw a neat sketch of f in your answer book. Show all asymptote and intercept, right? So first of all, since it's a hyperbola, we need to determine the shape. So this is 8.3. We need to find a. A is what? A is the one here on top. So a is equals to positive 1. How do you know the shape if a is positive, which is greater than 0? Is that's going to be, our graph is going to be in the first and third quadrant. That matters when we sketch the graph. So since we have our a, we have our asymptote and the intercept. Let's sketch the graph now. So we're going to start with what? We're going to start with our asymptote. We're going to start with x is equals to what? X is equals to positive 2. So 1, 2 is going to be here. That's going to be 2. So I'm going to just write the vertical asymptote like this. Then the other one is y is equals to negative 1. Negative 1 is here. Then draw a line going like this, which is going to be our horizontal asymptote. Then our intercept is what? It's 3 is to 0, which is our y-intercept. So it's going to go here, which is going to be 3. And the other one is what? Is negative 3 over 2, which is the same as 1 over 2. 1 over 2 is between 2 and 3, so it's going to be here, which is going to be negative 3 over 2, right? So since it's in the first and third quadrant, this is the first and this is going to be the third. So our graph is going to be like this. And the other one is going to be like this. Then you're done sketching the graph. Then question number 8.4, it says calculate the k value. In a k value is a point of f. What do we see? We see the fact that they gave us the coordinate, right? And they want us to calculate k. So we can just substitute this point here in the function and we're going to basically solve for k. So let's do that. So we have f of x, right, is equals to 1 divided by x minus 2 minus 1. Right, so wherever we see f of x, we're going to substitute by 2. So it's going to be 2 is equals to 1 divided by, wherever we see x, we're going to substitute by k. So it's going to be k minus 2 minus 1. Take the 1 to the other side. It's going to be 3 is equals to k 1 divided by k minus 2. This is the same as divided by 1. Cross multiply. When you cross multiply, you're going to have 3 open bracket k minus 2 is equals to 1 multiplied by 1 is 1. Divide both sides by 3. It's going to be k minus 2 is equals to 1 over 3, right? Then you're going to take the 2 to the other side. Therefore, k is going to be equals to what? To 1 over 3 plus 2. Punch this into the calculator. You're going to get k as being equals to 7 divided by 3. So now moving to question number 9, it says the sketch shows the graph g of x and they gave us the function of g of x where a is a positive real number. What's g of x? G of x, we see the fact that it's a log metric, which is an inverse of an exponent. The graph passes through a point 9 over 4 divided is 2, right? So the first question, which is 9.2, says calculate the value of a. To calculate the value of a, we're going to take this point and substitute it into the function. So we have g of x is equals to log a x. So wherever we see g of x, we're going to substitute by negative 2. So let's do that. So it's going to be negative 2 is equals to log a. Then x is going to be what? It's going to be 9 over 4, right? So now we need to change everything into exponents. this one is going to be our base, our a is going to be our base, our -2 is going to be the exponent, and this one is going to be on the other side, right? So let's do that. It's going to be a to the power what? To the power -2 is equals to 9/4, right? So this is the same as saying 1 divided by a to the power 2. Then this is going to be 9 divided by 4. Square both sides, so you're going to have 1 divided by a, right, squared is equals to what? Is equals to the square root of 9/4. Punch this into the calculator. The square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of a squared is what? It's going to be what? It's going to be 2. So this is the same as 1 divided by a, and this is going to be what? It's going to be 3 divided by 4, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross multiply. So this 4, it's going to be 1 multiplied by 4, and it's going to be 8 multiplied by 3. So it's going to be 3a. Divide both sides by 3. So it's going to be 4 divided by 3 is equals to a. So our a is going to be 4 divided by 3. It's not going to be 4. Made a mistake. No, not here. Is that after square rooting, it's not going to be 4 here. It's going to be 2. It's going to be 2. And it's going to be 2. Hope you guys saw that. It's going to be 2. So it's going to be 2 divided by 3. So that's how the solution is going to be. So now moving to 9.2. It says determine the equation of a function h that reflects upon the y-axis, right? Reflection upon the the x-axis, remember the fact that it's going to affect y. So our function, we know the fact that it's going to be g of x is equals to what? To log, right? Log a. No, we know that a is 2/3, so substitute that. It's going to be 2/3x, right? As I said, the fact that reflection of what? Of g in the x-axis is going to affect the y, which is our y is g, so it's going to be negative g of x is equals to log 2/3x. Take the y, divide both sides by -1. So this one, the y is gonna, the negative is gonna cancel out. So you're gonna have g of x is equals to negative log 2/3x. But this one is what? It's gonna be h of x. So we know the fact that our function is what? Is h. So therefore, h of x is equals to what? To negative log 2/3x. And that would be your final solution. So now moving to 9.3, it says use the graph to determine the value of g of x, meaning determine the value of y. That's what it means, for which x is it's less than 9/3. Where's 9/3? It's here, right? So let me write with dotted lines. So this is going to be 9/4. And what does it mean to be less than? It means the fact that it's from here to the negative x-axis. So it's like this. That's what it means to be less than. But we need to give our answer in terms of what? In terms of y. The one that corresponds with 9/4 is what? Is -2. So it's going to be here. So it's -2. So it's going to be here. So when does it happen? The fact that when x is less than 9/4, it's when from -2 till positive infinity. So your answer is what? Is y is an element. This is 9.3. It's from here going up, right? So it's this part, right? So it's going to be y is an element between where? Till -2 till positive infinity. And you're done with this answer. Then they say write the domain of g of the inverse of g of x, which is this is what? This one is g of x. The inverse of that is an exponential, right? The domain of an exponential is what? For all the cases, that domain for an exponential graph is that x is an element of real numbers. Or you could say the fact that x is an element, it goes from -infinity till positive infinity. So one of those two answers are going to be correct. So now going to question number 10, it says given that f of x is equals to negative 2x squared plus 1, show that the average gradient of g of f between the point where x is equals to 3 and x is equals to x plus 3 is. Then they tell you that h is not equals to 0. Then they say the fact that this will be the final answer. So we need to prove the fact that the average gradient is equals to negative 12 minus h. So what's average gradient? The formula for average gradient, which is I'm going to call it AG, right, is equals to f at a plus h minus f at a divided by h, right? But here we know the fact that they gave us a as being equals to what? To 3. So we can say average gradient is equals to f at what? At 3 plus h minus f at 3 divided by h, right? So now what we need to find f of 3 and f of 3 plus h. So f of 3, which is the one that's simple to start with, we're going to substitute by our function by 3, so it's going to be negative 2. Then where you see x, you're going to substitute by 3, so you're going to do that, right? So when you punch this into the calculator, what you're going to get this as being what? Negative 17. So now we're going to find f at 3 plus h, right? Which is wherever we see x now, we're going to substitute by 3 plus h. So it's going to be negative 2, 3 plus h squared plus 1. Expand this, you're going to get this, which is going to be negative 2. Then it's going to be 9 plus 6h plus h squared plus 1. Distribute the 2, which is going to get negative 18 minus 12h minus 2x squared plus 1, which is when you simplify it, it's going to be what? It's going to be negative 17 minus 12h minus 2h squared. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the numerator outside. This part I'm going to find it outside. So I'm going to look for f of 3 plus h minus f of 3, right? So we know that 3 plus h is this one. So it's going to be negative 17, right, minus 12h minus 2h squared. Then minus h of 3, put in a bracket, so it's going to be negative 17. So when you simplify this, it's going to be negative 17 minus 12h, right, minus 2h squared. This one is going to be plus 17. The 17s are going to cancel out, so you're going to be left with negative 12h minus 2h. Take out h squared, then take out h as a common factor, so you're going to have h. Then what you're going to have minus 12 minus 2h. Do you see the fact that we're closer to this one? Now substitute this new numerator here. So ag is going to be equals to this one. So it's going to be h negative 12 to h divided by h. The h is going to cancel out. So your average gradient is going to be equals to negative 12 minus 2h, which is exactly the solution that they wanted. Now, moving to 10.1.2, they say use the answer in 10.1.1 to calculate f prime at 3 for the first principle. We need to understand what f prime of first principle. So f prime of x of the first principle before we put 3 is the limit, right, when h approaches 0, when f of x plus h minus f of x divided by h. But what do they want? F of 3. So now at x we're going to substitute by 3. So it's the same as f at 3 prime, f prime at 3. Then the limit when h approaches 0 of f of 3, right, minus f 3 plus h. So it's going to be 3 plus h here minus f at 3. Divided by what? By h. But we already solved this one to be this one. Remember by the previous one? So f prime of the limit, right, of h approaches 0. This one is the same as what? Negative 12 minus 2h. This is 12, sorry. Now we need to substitute the limit, which is h approaches 0. When we substitute h, the limit drops. So it's going to be negative 12 minus 2 0. So therefore our answer here is going to be negative 12. So now 10.1.3, it says determine the numerical value of the gradient of the graph f at 0. So what they want f prime and of 0. That's what they mean, right? So gradient is f prime, but they being specific at where? At 0, right? So we know that f prime is the gradient, but they want the gradient at the specific point which is equals to 0, meaning this one. So we need to find f prime first. So from here, f prime is going to be equals to negative 4x, right? So we're going to substitute 0. So it's going to be negative 4, 0, which is going to be equals to 0. So the gradient at a point of x is equals to 0, it's 0. So now going to 10.2, it says differentiate y with respect to x. What it means to differentiate y with respect to x, you need to find the derivative, which is dy dx, right? That's what it means. Then they say leave your answer in a positive exponent. So the first one, which is they gave us, which is 10.2.1, it says this function. To differentiate this using the rules, we need to expand it first. So let's do that. Y is going to be equals to 16 minus 16x plus 4x squared, right? So when we expand, after it's expanding, since we see the fact that they're in individual terms, so we can find dy over dx, which is going to be a constant, is going to become a 0. The one with x to the power 1 is just going to be negative 16 multiplied by 1, so it's going to be minus 16. Then the x is going to cancel. Then this one, we're going to take the 2 in front, so it's going to be plus 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. Then this one is going to be 2 minus 1, which is 1, so it's going to be just x. So therefore dy divided by dx is going to be what? Negative 16 plus 8x. So now moving on to this one, we need to simplify so we can use the rules of differentiation. So we're going to distribute the square root of x. So let's do that. Square root of x multiplied by square root of x is just going to give me x, right? Then square root of x multiplied by a is going to be negative a root x. Then this is going to be plus a. Then we're not done. I'm going to change this one into an exponent. So it's going to be x minus a multiplied by x to the power 1 over 2 plus a, right? Then this one, when you now we're going to use the rules of differentiation, which is going to dy over dx. So the first one is going to be what? It's going to be 1 because of this 1 goes in front, and 1 minus 1 is going to be 0, which is going to make it 1. Then here you're going to take the half in front, so it's going to be 1 over 2 a, then you're going to say x, then you're going to say 1 over 2 minus 1. Then since this one is what is an alphabet a, it's a constant, so it's going to cancel, it's going to become 0. Simplify this, right? So it's going to be equals to what? 1 minus, I'm going to take the a on top, so it's going to be 8 divided by 2. Then this is what? Square root 1 over 2 minus 1 is the same as x, negative 1 over 2. We need a positive exponent, so it's the same as dy divided by dx is equals to 1. I'm going to take this one to the denominator, so it's going to be negative 8 divided by 2, what? 2x to the power 1 over 2. Then you're done with this solution. So now moving to question 11, it doesn't show properly. It says the sketch below represents a cubic function f with an equation. Then they give you the equation. Then they say the graph passes through the origin and has a local maximum of b is to c and a local minimum of a is to 0. So the first question says explain why k is equals to 0. We need to go to the equation and check what's k. K is what? K is going to be the y-intercept, right? And we see the fact that since the graph crosses here at 0, 0, the y-intercept here at 0 is to 0. Meaning k is going to be equals to what? K is going to be equals to 0. So your answer here for 11 point, what is that? K is the y-intercept. making k equals to what? To 0. So now going to 11.2, it says using the k, right, determine the values of a and b. What's a? A is the x-intercept of the what? Of the turning point. So to find the turning point in the cubic, we need to find the first derivative. So we need to find f prime. So f of x, we know it as being equals to what? To negative, not negative actually, it's x cubed minus 4x plus 4, right, then plus 0. So I'm not going to write it. So we need to find f prime because of the first derivative gives us the x coordinates of the turning point. So this is going to be 3x squared minus what? This is squared minus 8x, right, plus what? This is x. Wrote the whole equation wrong. So it's going to be plus 4. So that's how it's going to be. So now what we're going to do is we're going to factorize this. We need to find the first derivative equals to 0. So here it's going to be 0. It's equals to the same thing. When we factorize it, it's going to be what? It's going to give me so therefore it's going to be what? Equate both brackets by 0. So it's going to be 3x minus 2 is equals to 0. Take the 2 to the other side. So it's going to be 3x is equals to positive 2. Therefore, x is equals to 2 over 3. Or it's going to be the other bracket, which is x minus 2. It's equals to 0. Take the 2 to the other side. This is going to be x is equals to positive 2. Right? So we need to determine where is 2 over 3 and where is 2. So 2 is going to be a. So a is going to be what? 2. It's going to be 2. And 3 over 2 is going to be b. So knowing that, let's answer the following question. It says 11.2.1. What's a? A is equals to 2. And b is going to be equals to what? It's going to be equals to 2 over 3. Then we're done with the second part. This is 11.2.2. Then now moving to 11.3, it says the graph G with the equation G is equals G of x is equals to mx is a tangent of f, right, at a point of 0, 0. Calculate m. To calculate m, we need to find the first derivative of the thingy. So it's going to be the f prime. The first derivative is equals to gradient, right? But they tell us at a specific point, they tell us our point is 0, 0. We only need the x coordinate. So our x coordinate is equals to what? Is equals to 0. So x is equals to 0. So I need to find the first derivative when x is equals to 0. Alright, so let's do that. So f prime, I've already calculated it to being what? To be equals to 3x squared minus 8x plus 4. Find f prime at 0. Right, so it's going to be, gonna substitute 0 at x. So therefore my gradient, which is f prime at 0, is equals to 4, making m equals to what? To 4. So now moving to 11.4, it says make use of the graph or any other way to determine whether the value of p for which then they gave us a function will have a only one negative solution. So to do that, we're going to take the whatever that they gave us, which is x cubed minus 4x squared plus 4x plus 2 is equals to 2. Then I'm going to take the 2 to the other side. So it's going to be like this. So it's going to be p minus 2. To have only one solution, only one negative solution, meaning this side needs to be greater than 0. If this side is greater than 0, negative is less than 0, not greater than 0, is less than 0. To be negative is to be less than 0, right? If this side is less than 0, since these two are equals to each other, meaning p minus 2 is what? Is less than 0. Take the 2 to the other side. It's when p is what? Is less than 2. And that would be your solution. So now moving to question 12, it says the profit P is the rent per day which the owner of a taxi makes when the taxi is driven at an average speed of X kilometers per hour is given by this formula. So we have the profit and it's given as X is kilometers per hour. Then the first question says 12.1, calculate the average speed at which the owner would suffer a loss of revenue. What does it mean to suffer a loss? Meaning the fact that you're going to lose, meaning profit needs to be less than 0, meaning profit needs to be negative, right? So we know the fact that profit is equals to what? Is equals to x squared, open bracket, 40 minus x divided by 3, right, is going to be less than 0. We're going to solve for inequality. So when we solve for inequality, we need to find what? The critical value. So we're going to equate this to by 0. So it's going to be x squared is equals to 0, which is the same as x is equals to 0. Or I'm going to say in, because of I want the critical values. I'm going to say 40 minus x divided by 3 is equals to 0. Take this one to the other, the x divided by 3 to the other side. I'm going to get 40 is equals to what? 2x divided by 3. Multiply 40 by 3 is going to be x is equals to 120. So these two are going to be what? Your critical value, which is I'm going to call CV, right? So now I'm going to draw a number line like this, right, where I'm gonna have 0 here, then I'm gonna put 120 here. Draw open circles like this, draw dotted lines, right? Then you know that this side is negative infinity and this side is going to be positive infinity. Pick a number between negative infinity and 0, which is I'm going to pick negative 1. Then a number, let me do it with another color, negative 1. Then a number between 0 and what? And 120, which is I'm just going to pick 2. Then a number between 120 and positive infinity, which is I'm going to pick 1, 2, 1. Substitute those three numbers into which formula? Into this formula, into here. So let's do that. So you're going to have negative 1, right, squared, open bracket, 40 minus negative 1 divided by 3, which that's going to give you 121 divided by 3. Then the second one is going to be 2 squared, then it's going to be 40 minus 2 divided by 3, which is going to give me what? 472 divided by 3. And the last one is 121 squared, then it's going to be 40 minus 121 divided by 3, which is going to give me what? Which is going to give me negative 14,641 divided by 3. The numbers don't matter. What matters is the signs, right? So what matters is the sign. So the first one is positive, second one is positive, and the third one is negative. So I'm going to put positive, 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 positive throughout here and also here. Then here it's going to be negative. Less than, which is profit losing. It means the fact that I need where it's negative. So it's going to be here. So my answer is going to be what? It's going to be the profit, right? The speed is going to be between what? It's going to be between 120 kilometers per hour till what? Till positive infinity. Or you can say the fact that it's like this. Kilometers per hour when it's greater than 0. So this and this is the same thing. 12.2 says calculate the most economical average speed of the taxi and the corresponding profit. So we need to find the maximum, the economical, which is I need to find f prime, right? So to find f, not f prime, p prime, so I need to differentiate this. So I know the fact that p is equals to, I'm going to distribute x so that I can differentiate it properly. So it's going to give me what? It's going to give me 40 x squared, right, minus x cubed divided by 3. Then I can find p prime to find what? The economical average speed, right? The best speed, basically. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to differentiate this. I'm going to take the 2 in front, so it's going to be 40 multiplied by 2, which is going to give me 80. Then here's going to be x. Then I'm going to take the 3 in front, so it's going to be minus 3. Then here's going to be x squared divided by 3. The 3's are going to cancel out, so f prime is the same as being what? Is 80. 80 is x minus what? Minus x. But remember the fact that we find f prime when it's equals to 0. So I'm going to say 0 here. Then it's going to be 80x minus x. So I'm going to take the x squared here. So I'm going to take x as a common factor. So it's going to be x. Then it's going to be 80 minus x. Equate both sides by 0. So it's going to be x is equals to 0. Or 80 minus x is equals to 0. Take the x to the other side, so it's going to be 80 is equals to what? It's equals to x. So therefore my answer is what? Is x is equals to 80, which is kilometers per hour, right? That's the economical average speed. Then we need the profit for that, so I'm going to take this x and substitute it here. So p is equals to 80 squared, then it's going to be 40 minus 80 divided by 3. When you punch this into the calculator, what you're going to get is you're going to get your profit as being this amount. Profit in R, 85,333.33 cents. So then you're done with this question. Then question 13 says a ball contains 3 purple and white and 6 white. So it's going to be 6 white balls. So bag 1 here, right? We know the fact that it has what? It has 3 purple, which is I'm going to represent by P, and 6 W, which is going to be white. So this is bag 1. Then bag 2, right? It says the second bag contains 7 purple, which is 7 P, and what? And 1 white, which is 1 W. So the second bag, this is going to be the second bag. So the total balls in the first bag is going to be T is equals to 9 balls. Then here T is going to be equals to 8 balls, right? So now they tell us the fact that a ball is taken randomly from one of the bags, so we're gonna have to pick from both of them, right? Then they say calculate the probability that we pick a purple ball. So let's say the fact that we pick the first ball, right? We have 2 options. So the probability of what? Of picking a purple ball is going to be what? I need to pick from both bags. We have 2 of them, so it's either I pick the one from the 2, right? Then let's say from picking from one of the 2 I pick this bag, right? So how many balls do I have in total? I have 9, but how many purple balls do I have? Is 3. Or what could happen is I pick from both of them, which is I could pick this one, which is going to be 1 divided by 2, right? But let's say I pick bag 2. So here, how many total balls do I have? I have 8, but how many purple options do I have? I have 7. So simplifying this, O means plus, right? So a half multiplied by 3 over 9, what am I going to get? I'm going to get 1 over 6, right? Then O is plus. Then 1 over 2 multiplied by 7 over 8 is going to give me what? 7 divided by 16. Therefore, it's going to be 29 divided by what? By 48. So this will be your answer. So now moving to 13.2, it says a sample space S and event A and B are given. Then they give us the information here below. Right, then they say represent this information in a Venn diagram. So let's do that. So this is 13.2.1. So let's represent it in a Venn diagram. As you can see, going through the information, we see the fact that we have A and B, meaning it indicates the fact that A and B are what? Are intersecting. So let's show that. Right. So this is going to be A and this is going to be B, right? So the first one, they tell us the fact that probability of not A and B, right, is equals to 5 over 12. So probability of A complement and B is the same as probability of what? Of B, right? But B without the intercept, so it's going to be this portion. So this portion is going to be 5 divided by 12. Then they give us that the probability for of A and B is equals to what? Is equals to 1 over 6. So the intersection is 1 over 6. Then the last part, which it says the probability of 1 minus A or B, which means the fact that this whole thing, A or B means this whole thing. This whole thing plus the intersection, right? This whole thing is A or B, is the the complement of it is 1 over 3. So this whole thing, since it's in, then 1 over 3 needs to be outside. So this is going to be 1 over 3, right? So the first one they say represent, which is we have represented. Then 13.2.2 says calculate the probability of A, right? Meaning they want this one. What's the probability of A? I'm going to name it as being X, right? But what do we know? From here, we know that the probability of what? Of 1 minus A or B, right, is equals to what? Is equals to 1 over 3. We can find A or B, and we can do that by doing what? The probability of A or B is equals to what? Is equals to 1 minus this thing, which is the probability of 1 minus A or B, right? And A or B is equals to what? Is 1 minus 1 over 3, which is going to give me what? 2 over 3. So the 2 over 3 is the turquoise one, right? The one that I just highlighted in turquoise. So now, since we know the fact that the total of everything here, right, is equals to what? Is equals to 2 over 3. We can add them and equate them to 2 over 3. So we can say X plus 1 over 6 plus 5 over 12 is equals to what? Is 2 over 3. Now we're calculating for X. Take everything to one side, so it's going to be X is equals to 2 over 3 minus 1 over 6 minus 5 over 12, right? Which is going to give me X as being what? 1 over 2. 1 over 12, not 1 over 2. But what do we know? The probability, right? The probability of A. To show it in the Venn diagram so that you can know next time, I'm going to highlight it in a different color. It means this. It means this whole thing plus the intersection. So it's going to be X plus the intersection. So the probability of A, right, is equals to what? Is equals to X plus the intersection, which is what? Which is 1 over 6. So it's going to be X. We know the fact that it is 1 over 2. So it's going to be 1 over 12. 1 over 12 plus 1 over 6, which is going to give me the probability of A being 1 over 4. So now moving to 13.3, it says a team of class representative consisting of 4 learners needs to be elected at the beginning of the school year. The learners are chosen from grade 11A, 11B, and 11C and 11D. One of the learners from each class is randomly chosen, and each learner has equal chance to be chosen. The number of learners in each class is as follows. They give us the number of learners in 11A, 11B, 11C, and 11D. So they say calculate how many different ways this team of representative can be elected. So what we need to do, we need to multiply all the learners together. So you're going to say 20 multiplied by 15 multiplied by 12 multiplied by 10, which you're going to get your answer as being what? As being equals to 36,000 ways on how learners can be chosen. Then the last question says 13.4, 2 friends, Albert and James, take part in the swimming gala. There are in total 10 competitors and 10 lanes. Only one swimmer is allowed in each lane. If all the swimmers take part, calculate the possible arrangement in the starting line up to the following, under the following conditions. So 13.4.1, it says Albert and James are next to each other. If they're next to each other, meaning the fact that we know the fact that in total we have 10 lanes, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And they are next to each other, so this is A and J, so they always gonna move as a pair because they need to be next to each other. So this is going to be taken as 1. Then this is going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now it's going to be what? It's going to be 2 because of they need to be next to each other, multiplied by 9 factorial. So it's going to be multiplied by not 8 but 9 factorial. The reason why it's 9 and not 8 is because of their position is not stable. They can move as a pair in either the position. So it's 9 factorial. Then 13.4.2, it says Albert's face is placed in the first part, in the first lane, and James is not placed next to him. So for that, it's going to be 8 multiplied by 8 factorial. And that's going to be your 2 solutions. Then we're done with the paper.